Hello, I'm Lisa Campbell in ADC 655. This is for Module 5. First of all, I wanted to apologize for this being so late. I've been under the weather and I had to go out of town for a few days also. But this is my video response to understanding opioid addiction. Some people would find it difficult to believe that something like using drugs in a different environment than one is used to can be fatal. The autopsy of a male patient revealed that the dose of heroin that he used at his death was no different than what he was usually found to have in his system. The findings were that it was the change in environment that caused his death. His condition tolerance failed to operate. Deaths can occur due to the following: using a substance bought on the street and not knowing. Deaths can occur due to the following: using a substance bought on the street and not knowing the content or concentration, using the same amount after a period of abstinence, or using the substance in combination with other types of substances, and using in an environment that is usually different than the one the person usually uses in. The last cause of fatal overdose relates to a phenomenon called conditioned tolerance. Pavlovian conditioning is found when a stimulus triggers an automatic response. Ivan Pavlov discovered this phenomenon when he studied dogs who became conditioned to drool when they heard a bell because they associated the bell with food being served. In the case of the drug use, if a person uses a substance in a certain environment for a period of time, that environment will trigger anticipation of the drug use. Conditioned tolerance is triggered by the use of the drug in the same environment. When a person changes to a place they never used before, this conditioned tolerance does not occur and overdose or even death can happen. This fatality can happen because while using in the same places, tolerance has built up and the dose is usually increased. This same amount is deadly in a new place because the body and brain is not expecting the drugs and its effects. Studies that were done with rodents that revealed dopamine levels in the brain were increased when in the same room that they were usually given the drug. Dopamine is the brain chemical that produces effects that are intensified by the use of opiates. Conditioned place preference is an important concept for an active opioid addict to understand. If a person insists on using, he or she must be aware of the doses they have been tolerating. If a new place of use is sought, the opioid user should consider decreasing the amount to the least or what they first started out with, increasing the dose over time to the point of tolerance. On the other hand, avoiding areas that are associated with using substances can reduce the craving or desire to use the drug. There are other things that can result in craving, such as visual, olfactory, gustatory, and auditory cues. And that would be vision, if you see something, if you smell something, if you taste something, or you hear something that reminds you. Those are some cues that can trigger relapse. Being aware of things that trigger your desire to use and avoiding them would be helpful when trying to stay clean. This research has also revealed certain medications that can be taken that helps with craving the drug if in a place that causes the conditioned response and expectancy to use the drug. In one study by Otis and Mueller in 2011, findings support the use of propranolol, a commonly prescribed beta blocker as an adjunct to exposure therapy for the treatment of addiction by preventing retrieval of drug-associated memories during and long after treatment, and by providing protection against relapse. Therapy can also help with reducing feelings of craving, such as the memories associated with the using drugs in the home. Exposure therapy repeatedly exposes the person to the environment associated with the drug use, but in the absence of the drug, eventually decreasing craving and helps to prevent relapse. It is important to have a sponsor or someone supportive in your recovery to be able to share with when you encounter slippery places. The goal is recovery and refraining from the use of drugs. Just be mindful that if you stop using for a while and choose to pick up again, it is dangerous to start off with the same dose you ended up with. The same for choosing to get high in a different place. The tolerance effects are diminished in these cases, and if you do take the same doses used in your usual drug environment, or stop and start using at the same rate, it can have deadly consequences. Thank you.